Walker, ladies and gentlemen, from the P. Weiser Kawasaki team. Oh, Howie, I'm sorry. Howie, I do apologise. I didn't see you there. Don't get anxious. I know you want to go home. All right, just hang on. Chris.
Hi, Jack.
Nice to see you. So you enjoyed yourself at Goodwood. Were you on the B. Weiser Kawasaki yesterday then, going up the hill climb or something silly?
I was. It was a fantastic day. We went down Friday evening and then rode up the hill yesterday. I spent the day rubbing shoulders with Kenny Roberts and Freddie Spencer, Casey Stoner, Troy Corser, and the guy. It was pretty special. It's an amazing event. I was supposed to be there today as well, but obviously Kawasaki, they're a big day today, so we couldn't not come. So we drove back early this morning, shut at 7 o'clock. I didn't have a hangover, by the way. I wasn't drinking last night. I
apologise.
But no, it would have been nice to stay for another day because, of course, Rossi was there today, and after what he did over the weekend, for him to be the special guest at Goodwood, I'm a massive Rossi fan. I really am. So I'm a bit smashed up to miss that.
You were a bit like Hutchie though, but from a different direction. You were another relatively late starter in the getting into road racing. You'd been kind of road motocross when you were about 24, and then how did the changeover come about for you?
I'd always kind of got one eye on road racing. My dad did a little bit when I was a 7-year-old, only at club level, but because I'd been to the races and seen it, I was obviously got an interest in it. My dad was in Silver Dream Racer with David Essex. He was one of the extras in that, riding a motorbike. Yeah, so I got to know the road racing side of things when I was really young. But then just carried on chipping away racing motocross, and I had a couple of years where I got injured. Like spent 32 weeks in plaster out of 52. I broke my leg, 16 weeks in plaster, came out of plaster, raced 2 weeks later and did it again. And I figured that maybe enough was enough and I ought to look at another sport that might be somewhat kinder on the body. And got an opportunity really to go on a race school with a different brand of motorcycle, but I did that with Michael Rutter as my instructor. I did that on the Sunday, went to a practice day at Mallory on the Wednesday, and on Sunday, blagged the bike, raced it, had a second and 2 wins, and within 6 months I was doing it for a living. It was incredible really, so yeah, just by chance I would say, I'm a road racer.
And I couldn't imagine anyone whose style is much more different from you than Michael Rutter. How bizarre is that? I mean, this man full of energy on motorbike. Michael Rutter, well, old school really, isn't he?
He's horizontal, isn't he?
So mate, almost a terrific season with B. Weiser Kawasaki. Just looking like you were on kind of race-winning pace at Snetterton last weekend in that second race when you went down at the first turn.
I ran out of talent at turn 1, that's not known as, but I was smashed, I really was. I don't get many opportunities to race right at the front now, for whatever reason. And when I was up there and I was feeling strong, I know it was only a few laps into the race, but I'd had a great race in race 1, came from 22nd after a poor qualifying with a misfire, to right the way through the pack to 6th on the last lap. I think the last man I managed to nick a point off was Rat Boy, so that was pretty nice, nipping past Stuart Easton.
That's Stuart Easton, ladies and gentlemen.
And so it was a really strong race, put me in a much better position on the grid for race 2, and yeah, pace car came out, I managed to dive past Parks, and it was in 4th. And I was just getting a bit of a slipstream off O'Halloran, and I figured, I felt I got the pace to do him, and then I'd be in a trophy position, and Rosie likes a trophy just like Finlay does for Stuart, so under a bit of pressure at home, just like Stuart is. And that was it. The next thing, I'm upside down, so I've only got myself to blame. I went in there a tiny bit quicker than the lap before. I don't exactly know what happened, but just one of those funny crashes where you don't really deserve to fall off, but it happens from time to time.
So how do you feel about the rest of the season? You're still feeling like obviously that the showdown is very much on as a realistic proposition?
Yeah, what was annoying was I'd managed to get into 7th at the championship after race 1 at Snet, and got me somewhere near again, and I'm straight back down in 10th joint with Howie over there. So we've got some work to do, but the bike's really good. I'm really enjoying riding with Tommy. Tommy as a teammate, as a team boss, has been brilliant. Danny Buchan as a teammate's a lot of fun. So it's a great place to be. It's a very happy team, and I'm really happy there. We've made a step forward with the bike. We had a different engine spec at Snetterton. We had a slightly different chassis as well, with a bit of bracing in, which seemed to make the job a bit easier. Got some good races coming up for me. I love Knockhill, Thruxton and such like. So fingers crossed, now we seem to have made a step, we can stay there. You never really know until we've done a couple more races, but I'm still enjoying it, probably more than anybody on the grid, and not desperate to stop anytime soon.
Now, your experience, this guy's got massive experience with Kawasaki's. He was twice runner-up in the British Superbike Series in the 1990s with Kawasaki. He rode factory Kawasaki in World Superbikes. He won on Kawasaki memorably at Assen in World Superbike. So you've ridden a lot of Kawasaki's. Have you got a standout, absolute favourite Kawasaki model across those years?
To be honest, the ZX7 was, until the latest ZX10, was definitely my favourite. The ZX7R. I've actually got my 2002 World Superbike. It's on display at the shop in Grantham, and that's pretty special having that there. That was a big favourite of mine back in the day. I got my first ever paid superbike ride, was on a Kawasaki. Colin Wright gave me the job in 1990. He signed me at the end of '97 for '98 on the Kawasaki ZX7. So it was kind of my start really to becoming a professional racer, actually earning a few quid out of it, which up to that point I didn't think, I didn't realise was an option for me. So pretty special memories from those bikes. But I think really this last bike that Kawasaki made, I've rode for Bournemouth 2 years, then GB Moto, then now B-Wiser, 4 years on the same bike, maybe even a 5th year, I think maybe before that with Primo, and it's incredible. It really is. Every time I get on it, it makes me smile. And other than the wife, there's not a lot I've ridden that makes me smile as much as ZX10, so I'm happy.
So you must be looking forward to the rest of the season then. You've got to chase that kind of golden egg of the top 6 and get yourself into that showdown.
Yeah, but if I want to race next year, I need to be in the showdown. I figure my contract this year with B-Wise, it only guarantees year 2 if I make the showdown. I made it last year and still didn't do enough to keep my ride at GB Moto, so I know that every year I get a few less phone calls. I'm the oldest on the grid by quite some age now. Now Rutter's retired. He needs to come back. He was making me look good, but now he's gone. I'm probably older by 10 years than anybody else on there. I've got a super fast teammate this year, and he's half my age and twice as tall. So I have got my work cut out, and if I'm not embarrassing myself by the end of the year and still finishing in the top 10 often enough, and I get offered another competitive ride, then I'd like to think I'll be racing again next year. But I don't want to just dollop around on an uncompetitive bike. So if I can keep myself in that top 6 for this year, then I'll be back.
And you, of course, you mentioned your bike shop in Grantham. You've got that to look after as well as your motocross track. So you're a busy man on and off the track, aren't you?
I'm gearing up for the day when I do have to stop racing, I guess. But it's it will be hard for me. I've raced non-stop for 31 years, never missed a season in 31 years, motocross and road racing. But I don't know a lot else other than motorbikes. So everything that I'm doing for going forward involves motorbikes. Have a bit of fun with the motocross track, which is really just a bit of fun. But the shop is full on. It's great. Got some fantastic staff there. Colin Wright, who I mentioned earlier, we're working together now. He's running the shop today when I'm not there. He looks after it. My crew chief, Chris Hunt, for 6 years. He runs the workshop. Joe Richardson, who was with Milwaukee the last couple of years, looking after Tommy Bridewell. He's with me in the showroom. We've got some great staff there, and the shop's amazing. It's recently opened only 8 weeks ago, right at the side of the A1 at Grantham, Chris Walker, Kawasaki, and I'm there pretty much every day when I'm not doing stuff like this or racing. It's full on. But we've sold a lot of bikes in the first few weeks. It's been an amazing start, and Kawasaki's a brand that really looked after us, and I can't imagine wanting to do it with anybody else. So yeah, it's green all the way.
Brilliant. Well, look, I personally don't want you to think about packing in yet. I hope you feel the same out there, do you? We want him racing for a while yet, don't we? Yes, I think so. I think we'll take that as read, 100%. Are you now? A couple of things though, just before you go. Excuse me for going back to my off-road roots, ladies and gentlemen, but he loves doing the Vets Motocross of Nations at Farley Castle. Has Richard Metcalf got you sorted out with a bike for this year?
He has. It's immense. It is. We've got a Kawasaki 250A5, but he's managed to wedge a KX 420 engine in 1981 420 air-cooled lump. We've got a spare engine as well, so we're going prepared this year. We're going to start testing in the next couple of weeks. It's serious as well, we're going for it. It's got real trick forks. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, it really is. He's even had the Kawasaki bigwigs testing it for me, so we're getting there with it. He's come here today armed with the seat to get recovered and the carburettor, which apparently now we need a new one of those. So it's September, can't wait for it actually. I was lucky enough to have Richard come out of retirement for me a couple of years ago as a mechanic and spanner for me for the weekend. He did actually genuinely believe he was only going to be drinking beer all weekend and maybe cleaning an air filter once or twice. He's never had a T-bar in his hand for so much in probably the last 2 decades. We had a flat out weekend, the bike went wrong, we had to buy a bike that was for sale in the paddock to nick the engine out of it just to keep racing, and Colin Wright came with him to give him a hand, and he was absolutely knackered at the end of the weekend. He's never worked so hard. But hopefully this year we're more prepared, so we could have more time on track and more time in the bar, and fingers crossed we'll be somewhere near the front.
Well done, Richard. Good on you, mate. Nice to see a factory Grand Prix mechanic back in action. Chris, all the very best for the rest of the year. We look forward to seeing you at Nottingham next weekend. Chris Walker, ladies and gentlemen.